It's game night.
You look different.
We're playing a variant of Dungeons and Dragons tonight, so I thought I'd wear something whimsical.
What's up with your eyes?
What eyes?
Are you wearing eyeliner?
Sometimes a girl wants to feel pretty. Okay, I've got a pre-gen character for you.
Ooh, a level 10 paladin. Mueller the investigator? I don't like that name.
Then change it. I want you to feel comfortable playing this character, for you will soon be taking him...
Him? I don't like playing male characters. Can I make him a woman?
Nothing wrong with a man becoming a woman, especially a woman facing the...
Can I change my gear up?
Sure, whatever you want. I'm trying a dramatic build-up here. Can we start playing?
Okay. What's the adventure?
In March 2019, former FBI Director Robert Mueller released the results of his investigation into collaboration between the presidential campaign of Donald Trump and the Russian government headed by Vladimir Putin. Volume 1 of his report focuses on the Russians, while Volume 2 focuses on Trump's efforts to impede Mueller's investigation. Volume 2, Obstruction of Justice, summarizes 10 instances in which Trump may have acted to block the investigation and discusses the success or failure of each action. You are Mueller the investigator.
Pam the investigator.
Okay, you are Pam the investigator, a stalwart of justice in the Kingdom of America. The old king has passed away, and his crown has been usurped by a man known as the Tangerine Tyrant. The tyrant has the support of the noble college of electors, but not of the people, most of whom supported his rival for the throne, Princess Hillary.
This sounds familiar somehow.
I'm just reading the module. There is suspicion that the tyrant's supporters, and possibly the tyrant himself, accepted help from beyond the borders of this world, which is strictly forbidden. You are investigating this possibility. The tyrant and his minions have penetrated the chambers beneath the House of Light in search of the orb of precedent with which the tyrant can establish new standards of rulership. It is up to you to stop him and his men. Now you stand at the gates of the House of Light. Ahead you can see the arch above the stairs that lead down to the subterranean galleries. What do?
I run down the stairs, bellowing my battle cry. Wait. How many minions does the Tangerine Tyrant have?
About a dozen.
I go carefully and quietly down the stairs.
Okay. At the bottom of the stairs is a chamber with marble tiles and 4 marble columns. 2 men are there, men you recognize. A tall elf and a human.
I know them?
Yes. Their names are Inlike Flynn and Cohen E. Inlike Flynn is a former army commander who was one of the first to side with the Tangerine Tyrant. Cohen E is an investigator, like you, but he is the man who actually handed the crown of the kingdom to the Tangerine Tyrant.
Which one is he?
The elf, of course. That's what the E in Cohen E stands for. Anyway, you happen to know that Inlike Flynn had been dealing with a mysterious emissary.
Can I kill them now?
No, I need to read you more tedious backstory. On December 29, 2016, in response to Russian interference in the recently concluded presidential election, outgoing President Barack Obama imposes sanctions on Russian individuals and entities. Former Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, an early supporter of Donald Trump, calls Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak and asks Russia not to retaliate. 2 days later, Kislyak tells Flynn, "Your request has been heard at the highest levels. There will be no retaliation."
Does Comey know what Flynn did?
He does not. He is looking sadly at you, his hand on his sword. Inlike Flynn slowly draws his blade and grins, as if happy to fight.
I shout to Comey. He sold us out. He worked with outsiders to betray the old king.
Cohen E steps back from Flynn, staring at him. Flynn says, "That's not true." But Cohen E has the same detect lie ability that you do. "You have done wrong," he says. "I cannot stand with you." And he walks away, leaving Flynn alone to face you. Flynn is now afraid.
I draw my +3 sword of indictment and attack.
Roll to hit. Following media reports that Flynn has discussed sanctions with the Russians, the FBI interviews him. Flynn denies the reports, but doubts remain. Trump pressures FBI Director James Comey to drop the investigation into Flynn. The investigation of Flynn is connected to the broader Russia investigation, and it appears Trump believes that terminating Flynn will end it. On February 13th, after only 24 days as National Security Advisor, Flynn resigns. Before the end of 2017, Flynn will plead guilty to lying to the FBI. Another solid hit. Like Flynn staggers back from you, then sinks to his knees and falls over.
No time to waste. Which way did Comey go?
There is one exit from the chamber, a carved archway beyond which lies a dark tunnel.
I rush down the tunnel.
The tunnel curves gently to the right. Torches burn in wall sconces every 40 feet. The tunnel ends in double doors. One of the doors is open. In the doorway stands a malevolent-looking gnome. In the 1980s, Jeff Sessions was a United States attorney from Alabama. President Reagan nominated him for a federal judgeship, but he was rejected by the U.S. Senate as too racist for the job. 10 years later, the people of Alabama sent Sessions to represent them in the Senate. When Donald Trump began his run for the presidency in a whirlwind of bigotry, Sessions liked what he heard and became an early supporter. Trump makes Sessions his attorney general. But in March 2017, the media reports that Sessions has had secret meetings with the Russian ambassador, meetings that were not reported to Congress during his confirmation hearings. For ethical reasons, Sessions then recuses himself from oversight of the Russia investigation.
I ready my sword.
The gnome holds up a hand. "I'm not going to fight you," he says. "While I must obey our new monarch, it would be dishonorable to fight against an investigator."
Let me pass. You know you're on the wrong side in this.
The gnome shakes his head and slams the door shut. You hear the lock click.
Damn it. I rush the door and try it.
Oh, it's locked all right.
I'll break it down.
Make a strength check. Sessions' recusal angers Trump. He expected Sessions to protect him. In March, James Comey testifies to Congress about the Russia investigation. In the following weeks, Trump repeatedly asks Comey to publicly state that he is not under investigation. Trump is angered by press reports that he is. He is also concerned about the impact of the investigation on his ability to govern. You successfully break the door down. Beyond is a chamber lit by lanterns hanging from the ceiling. There is a person lying in the center of the room.
I'll go investigate. Carefully.
The person feebly beckons towards you as you approach. It's Comey. He is dying.
Oh. I kneel beside him and say, "Who did this?"
He gasps. "It was him. The Tangerine Tyrant." In May 2017, because Comey would not state that Trump was not under investigation, Trump decides to fire Comey. His advisors have Sessions and his deputy draft a memorandum recommending Comey's removal and stating that doing so will restore public confidence in the FBI. Citing the memorandum, Trump fires Comey on May 9th. That evening, his press secretary states that Trump had simply approved a Department of Justice recommendation. The next day, Trump reports to Ambassador Kislyak that the firing of Comey has taken off the pressure of the FBI's Russia investigation. That afternoon, his deputy press secretary claims that Comey had lost the confidence of the members of the FBI itself, a claim she later admits is entirely false. The day after that, May 11th, Trump admits in an interview that the push to fire Comey had started with him, and that the investigation was a factor in his thinking. He gasps, "My own liege lord, I never saw it coming." His eyes slowly close.
I'll give him a shake. Why did you do it? Why did you hand him the crown when you knew the people preferred Princess Hillary?
He coughs again. "I didn't want to swear fealty to a woman."
I stand up and walk away.
His head thunks on the tiled floor and he gurgles. After a while, he is quiet.
Any ways out?
A door opposite the one you broke down.
I'll go through it.
You find yourself in a circular room with a high ceiling. An oculus lets in moonlight. 4 lanterns illuminate the room. There is an upper gallery with a railing, and leaning against the railing, looking at you as you come in, is the Tangerine Tyrant himself.
Get ready to die, pig!
The tyrant shrinks back from the railing, his jowls quivering in fear. "You can't touch me, investigator," he shrieks. He hurls a javelin at you. Roll defense.
Oof. Natural 20.
He fumbles and drops the javelin over the railing. It clatters to the ground beneath him.
Are there stairs going up to the gallery?
Yes?
I run for them.
8 days after Trump's firing of Comey, Robert Mueller is put in charge of the Russia investigation. Mueller's appointment is praised by prominent Republicans such as Richard Burr, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, Darrell Issa, and Mark Meadows. However, when Trump hears of Mueller's appointment, he says, "I'm fucked." He claims Mueller has conflicts of interest, but Trump's advisors tell him that his allegations are ridiculous. In June, the media reports that Mueller is investigating Trump for obstruction of justice. Trump responds by denouncing the investigation as a witch hunt. Over the course of the investigation, Robert Mueller would indict 34 people working for, or for the benefit of, Trump. That's a lot of witches. Trump contacts the White House counsel, Don McGahn, and tells him to arrange for Mueller's firing. McGahn has no intention of doing this, and lets Trump's chief of staff know that he is going to resign because the president is asking him to do crazy shit. McGahn is persuaded not to resign, and Trump himself never mentions the matter to him again. You reach the top of the stairs and rush to where the tyrant stood. He is gone. You can see the archway through which he must have retreated. However, in your way are 4 men, 3 humans, and that malevolent gnome.
Are they blocking me?
Not really. They seem to be having a disagreement. The humans have weapons drawn, and they are menacing the gnome. They haven't noticed you yet. One of the humans sheathes his weapon. He pushes another man toward the gnome and says, "You do it," then walks away. Corey Lewandowski was Trump's first campaign manager, and during the campaign, drew criticism for assaulting a reporter and a protester. In June 2017, he meets his old boss in the White House. There, Trump asks him to tell Sessions to reverse his recusal and put limits on Mueller's investigations that will prevent scrutiny of Trump's actions. Sessions does not meet Lewandowski in June, so in July, Trump repeats his request to Lewandowski and tells him that if Sessions will not meet with him, Lewandowski should fire him. Lewandowski has no such authority. He asks a man whom Sessions knows to take Trump's message to Sessions, but this intermediary doesn't like being put in this position and never delivers the message. There's now 2 humans and the gnome. What do?
If they're going to kill each other, I'll wait. Or take a number.
The second human shrugs, sheathes his sword, and walks away, following the first man. The third man points his sword at the gnome and says, "He wants me to kill you." The gnome cowers. "But I won't. If I kill you, how will he ever get anyone else to work for him?" He too sheathes his sword.
It's like the only thing keeping the Tangerine Tyrant from doing more crimes is the fact that his people keep disobeying him.
It does seem like that, doesn't it?
Okay. I step forward.
The human and the gnome see you immediately. The human picks up the gnome and runs.
I chase.
They pass through a door in an archway and slam it shut. You hear a bolt slide into place.
Oh, damn it. I'm an investigator. Shouldn't they be cooperating with me?
They should, but what can you do?
Break down another door.
On July 22nd, Trump orders his chief of staff, Reince Priebus, If you remove all the vowels from the name Reince Priebus, you get RNCPRBS. Given that he was the chairman of the Republican National Committee and responsible for a lot of its public relations, this seems quite fitting. Trump orders his chief of staff, grinds Priebus to obtain Sessions' resignation. After first ignoring the order, Priebus tells him that other people will resign if Sessions does, and that Trump will not be able to get anyone to replace them. Priebus himself is prepared to resign. Trump relents. You ram your armored shoulder into the door again and hear the wood crack, but as you prepare for another strike, you hear the bolt pulled back.
I carefully open the door.
Beyond the door stands a young man, neither armed nor armored. He gazes at you with haughty disdain.
Do I know this douchebag?
No.
Name thyself, young douchebag!
He says, How dare you, commoner? I'll have you know I am the son of our new king.
He's a Tangerine Tyrant's kid. I smite him.
You can't. He hasn't done anything provably wrong.
That wall of background text you read me earlier said he had summoned dark entities in the tower.
But he never made a deal with them.
Fine. Out of my way, man-child. I have business with your father. I push my way past him.
He tumbles to the floor, and you leave him whining in your wake. On June 9, 2016, senior representatives of the Trump campaign met in Trump Tower with a Russian attorney, expecting to receive derogatory information about Hillary Clinton from the Russian government. Reports of this meeting, and of Donald Trump Jr.'s role in it, reached the press in June 2017. Trump orders his staff not to disclose information about the meeting, and over the following weeks, the White House works out a press strategy. While these steps were intended to prevent the public from learning the details of the meeting, there is no evidence that Trump took steps to prevent information about the meeting from being provided to Congress or Mueller. You rush down a tunnel lit by torchlight. Alternating stripes of light and dark stretch ahead of you. You run maybe 400 feet before you reach a new obstacle, an underground river.
Is there a way across?
There is a drawbridge on the other side, but it is up.
Can I swim the river in my armor?
It may drag you down.
I'd better start taking off armor.
Before you begin, the drawbridge drops with a slam that echoes through the tunnel. On the other side, you see it has been lowered by that malevolent gnome.
I cross as quickly as I can.
You make it across. The gnome looks at you with weary eyes.
I thought you were on the tyrant's side.
I have my honor. He has kicked me once too often. I am done. Trump continues to press Sessions to reverse his recusal in order to control the ongoing Russia investigation and to open an investigation into Hillary Clinton. Trump criticizes Sessions in public through 2017 and 2018, the day after the 2018 midterm elections, in which the Republican Party takes a beating. Sessions resigns.
I kick him into the river and keep going.
The tunnel ends at double doors, in front of which you see someone. Standing there, in wizard's robes, with a wizard's staff and a wizard's hat, is...
A wizard?
Have you read this adventure?
No, it's just a lucky guess. Do I recognize the wizard?
It is Mi Khan, wizard to the king.
Oh boy. Magic fight. I ready my sword.
Mi Khan raises his hand and says, Stay your hand, investigator. You and I have no conflict. In January 2018, the failing New York Times reports on Trump's efforts to get White House counsel Don McGahn to fire Mueller, and that McGahn had nearly quit. Trump attacks the story as fake news and pressures McGahn to issue a statement that the story is false. McGahn refuses on the basis that the story is true, and that notes he had written at the time confirm it. Trump asks him, Why do you take notes? Lawyers don't take notes. I never had a lawyer who took notes. McGahn replies that he takes notes because he is a real lawyer.
Okay, I'll say. Why are you here?
The king sent me to stop you, but you are an investigator. I have seen nothing corrupt in what you are doing, and thus have no right to stand in your way.
I'm glad you realize that. Tangerine Tyrant sure seems to be having a hard time finding people to do his dirty work.
It seems that way, doesn't it? Substantial evidence supports McGahn's account that Trump had directed him to have Mueller fired, and that Trump acted with the purpose of influencing McGahn's account in order to prevent further scrutiny of Trump's conduct toward the investigation. The wizard steps aside as you pass through the double doors. Inside is a large room with columns and a candelabra hanging from the ceiling.
Any sign of the Tangerine Tyrant and his crew?
No. There is another pair of double doors on the far side of the room. They stand open, and beyond them you see a wide staircase going up.
I'll cross to the other side.
You get just 5 feet in when a portcullis falls at the exit and the entrance, trapping you. From 3 of the columns, 1 figure each steps out. You recognize the tyrant's former lieutenant, Man O'Fort. He wears heavy armor emblazoned with the tyrant's sigil. You also recognize the late Inlike Flynn, shambling toward you with a zombie-like gait.
Is he a zombie?
Yes. The third figure is a kind of stone golem.
What kind of stone golem?
A Roger stone golem. It's just like a regular stone golem, except it spreads bullshit wherever it goes. Roll initiative. The Mueller Report details actions taken by Trump that could have influenced the degree to which his confidants Michael Flynn, Paul Manafort, and Roger Stone cooperated with the investigation. Incidentally, the redaction in the Mueller Report here is rather clumsy. A great deal of effort was taken to remove Roger Stone's name from the report, but on one page, Stone's name is the only thing redacted from a direct quote in a CNN story that can be found online. After Flynn resigned from the Trump regime, Trump praised Flynn in public, and in private encouraged his advisors to send messages to Flynn telling him to stay strong. When Mueller finally got Flynn to cooperate, Trump refused to rule out a pardon for Flynn, saying only, "We'll see what happens." Trump's second campaign manager, Paul Manafort, was indicted in October 2017 and again in February 2018, each time on multiple felonies. Between his indictment and trial, Trump's lawyer suggested that things might get cleaned up with some presidential pardons. In September, Manafort pleaded guilty and signed a plea agreement that mandated his cooperation with Mueller. However, 2 months later, Mueller's office revealed that Manafort had been lying to them, and as a result had breached his plea agreement. Trump praised Manafort as very brave for not cooperating with the investigation. At the time of the Mueller Report's completion, Roger Stone's trial had not yet taken place. Consequently, the section of the report dealing with Stone is entirely redacted. On November 15, 2019, Roger Stone was convicted on 7 counts of obstruction, making false statements, and witness tampering. Trump's actions toward Flynn, Manafort, and Stone appear to have been connected to official proceedings against each individual. Evidence shows that Trump intended to encourage Manafort not to cooperate with the government.
I'll check out the portcullis covering the exit. There must be some way I can lift it.
As you walk over there, it lifts on its own. You see coming down the stairs a broad-shouldered man with mighty thews.
What are thews?
Muscles.
Could you say muscles?
It is Cohen the Fixer, the Tangerine Tyrant's right-hand man. He stands athwart your path and cries, "I fix you good!"
Cooperator, be indicted.
He roars at you and charges. Roll defense. Michael Cohen was Trump's lawyer and a vice president of the Trump Organization and served as deputy finance chair of the Republican Party. He had been involved in the Trump Tower Moscow negotiations until the project's abandonment in June 2016. In August 2017, to mask Trump's connections to Russia, Cohen falsely reported to Congress that negotiations on the Trump Tower Moscow project had ended 5 months earlier than they actually had, and repeated those lies in sworn testimony in October. This was a continuation of Trump's claim during the presidential campaign that he had no personal, financial, or business connection with Russia. In April 2018, the FBI executed search warrants on Cohen's home and office. Trump denounced the searches as disgraceful and likened them to a criminal break-in. When Cohen began cooperating with Mueller's investigation, Trump made public statements that Cohen's family members had committed crimes. At one point, Cohen postponed his congressional testimony, citing threats against his family. Cohen began serving a 3-year prison sentence in FCI Otisville in May 2019. Cohen the Fixer is defeated. The way is clear.
Up the stairs.
You rush up the stairs and emerge into a large room with a throne on a dais. Standing in front of the throne and facing you is the Tangerine Tyrant himself. The crown of the kingdom rests on his head, and in one hand he holds the Orb of Precedent.
Oh my God, how big is he?
6'3", 239 pounds.
He weighs a lot more than 239 pounds.
I'm just reading what it says here. He says, "It is too late, investigator. I hold the orb. Anything I do is legal and a precedent for those who come after me." With that, he sits on the throne.
With that, I draw my +3 sword of indictment and smite him.
You missed.
How could I miss? He's a fleshy blob and he's sitting down.
It's in the rules.
What rules is this?
It's right here. The indictment of a sitting president would impermissibly undermine the capacity of the executive branch to perform its constitutionally assigned functions in violation of the constitutional separation of powers. You can't hit him with an indictment.
That's stupid. I'm not playing anymore.
Good. It's not a game.